Hello again, Ashley here. This is the second tutorial that we are running connected to NVivo 11. The first one was a few days back where we introduced data, well, qualitative data. We focused on qualitative data and then we talked a little bit about the analysis of qualitative data. And qualitative data would basically mean interviews, focus groups, literature review, and some text-based data. Now, uh, before I start with this today's tutorial, the reason I haven't run the workshop yet is because most of our colleagues are away on leave, and some of them asked me to postpone. So, and then I was thinking, why not this type of tutorial? And you can listen to it in your own sweet time, and it's I think as helpful or as handy than as a proper workshop. So I'm thinking of running a few of these tutorials, and I hope to keep it well less than 30 minutes until I complete the whole NVivo 11 tutorial. And then after that, I will run the workshop when maybe most of the colleagues are on campus. So we'll start with NVivo 11. And the reason we want to use this software is because if you have some text-based data and which can be focus group interviews or just interviews that you have transcribed, and also you might have other types of documents, which is PDF, Microsoft Word, Evernote, Notepad based, and so on and so forth. Now, the point is, how do you find or understand themes and trends across the data that you've collected? So NVivo is a tool that organizes qualitative data and supports vigorous and systematic analysis. So that's the whole point. And if you remember, uh, you can recall that I mentioned a few other software in the first tutorial, like Atlas.ti and Nudist and so on, that they would do the same type of analysis. But focusing on NVivo 11, we have three editions: the Starter edition, the Pro edition, and the Plus edition. Now, any one of these three would be used to analyze your transcribed data. But the main difference, I don't want to just explain the differences between them because we only have one here on the campus, which is the NVivo Pro. So, but briefly, excuse me, Starter NVivo Starter is for new users. Now, I know a lot of you will be using NVivo for the first time, but uh, trust me, even NVivo 11 Pro would be suitable for us. But to be more precise, NVivo 11 Starter would be for new users and those who are using only uh, textual data, such as a PDF and Microsoft Word and so on, and that's it. There's not much we can do in terms of other types of recordings, for example, or um, what can I say? We have videos as well, which you cannot do in the NVivo 11. Whereas for the NVivo 11 Pro and Plus, they work with additional data types and they support working as a team as well. There are additional features for analysis of themes and so on. So, like I've said, I'm not gonna spend time here giving the differences between them because we do not have to choose. We have only NVivo 11 Pro here. So briefly, that's what they do. The NVivo 11 Starter, Pro, and Plus. As you can see, the Pro and the Plus are mainly kind of the same, except of a few things which I will explain in a few minutes. So the software helps us to create nodes, to find themes, and so on and so forth. And that's what we are planning to do. So my job today is just to introduce NVivo 11 Pro to you. Now, you can get your NVivo Pro here at Middlesex University, Mauritius, in the labs here on campus, you will have the software already installed. I know it's not convenient for members of staff to go and sit there, but we have other options. So students and academic staff can download UniHub. Can download the software from UniHub, and I'll explain in a minute how to get this. The license provided, and I think the current one is valid until excuse me, August 2019. Uh, if you do not want to download, you can always ask our IT team, that's Sandeep, Shibli, and Anwar, to install the software on your laptop. You would need them because they have the administrative rights to do so, while we do not. Um, Now, briefly, if you were to, so let me just explain this a little bit more. If students would have no problem to get NVivo from UniHub. Academic staff who are registered as a postgrad student as well will have no problem because they will use their student login to get the software. What I mean here is a staff without a student login will not have access to the software page on UniHub. Let me explain. So if we were to, let me just see how do we do that. All right, there you go. So there you go. We have our UniHub. Personally, I have two user IDs. That's the bottom one is my staff user ID, and BH305 is my student user ID. So I'll explain how we can get NVivo if you have a student email ID, a student ID, and then I'll come back to if you have only the staff ID. So let's start with the student ID. Oops, daisy. So right. Right, this takes you to once you log in, it takes you to the UniHub page. So if you have a student account, you will get something similar to this. Um, if you go to my study, and you will get this page here, my learning, my library, and so on and so forth. And you come to this heading here, software, and click on download software for PC and Mac. And it takes you to a page known as case system management, and that's the link here. You don't need to remember the link. Like I've said, you can come to this page, you can get to this page if you log in through UniHub using your student uh, ID. Now there you go. I'm going to use the same credentials here as I've used on UniHub. That's the login and password. Let me move this a bit. No, okay, I click on login here, and it will take you to the software page. I'm pretty sure a lot of you've come across this page, so it might take a while to load up. So we'll wait. There you go. So this is through UniHub to the case system management. You click on software, the want software page. You scroll down a wee bit, which is around here. Student and staff NVivo11 for Windows. Pretty sure this means academic staff, but again, once I'm done with this, I will explain how other staff can get NVivo. So there you go. I'm not going to click on it. You can do it. So that's how you get your software as well as the license from this website. So easily done if you have a student ID, and I do believe a lot of academic staff would have a student ID as well. Now that's it. So I'm gonna log out here, and let's come back uh, to our presentation. So let me move back a little bit. If you do not have a student ID, then fine, you can always go and ask our IT team to install NVivo. It is already on the shared drive, but you would need either Sandeep, Shibli, or Anwar to install the software for you. So anyone can get it on campus here. If you do decide not to use your laptop for that, then yeah, you can go to the labs and use the NVivo Pro, which is already installed there. That's not too convenient, but it's up to you. Okay. Right, so what happens in NVivo Pro, for example? What are you gonna do? This is the idea. You gather data. It could be Word, PDF, Evernote, um, audios, videos, and whatever types of data that you have. NVivo Pro will be able to use those data. Then you import the data to NVivo. I'll explain later. I'm just showing you how it works. Then you start exploring and analyzing. Oops, yeah. You explore and analyze the data, and then finally you visualize and share your data, your analysis. So that's basically the four main things that goes behind the scene when you have to use NVivo Pro for your data analysis. Right. So some few terms that you need to remember. I think coding is one term that you've heard me saying in the first tutorial, but briefly, um, sorry, yeah, briefly, you have the first term that I'm going to use is sources. That's basically where your data is coming from. It could be PDF data sets, audio, video, pictures, memos, etc. Uh, Word, a notepad, Evernote, uh, and a few others. Then the next one will be source classification, which is record information about the sources that you've mentioned here. So it could be bibliographical data, it could be through interviews, it could be uh, again. I don't think there's too much point that I explain in details here until we really use NVivo, but that's just introducing some terms. Then coding is the process of gathering materials by topic. I think we discussed that in the first tutorial, and these are probably new. Nodes would be to put them in containers, in pots, and then look for emerging patterns and ideas. Then the next term would be cases, and that's your kind of units of observation, or the people, places, organization, artifacts, and so on and so forth. And the next term would be case classification. Connected to the cases would be the demographical details about data about your sorry, I can't really move this, about your about the people, and so on and so forth. So these are the terms that we will come across when we start using NVivo. Now, how do you approach your research project if it's a qualitative project? Well, there's no standard way, or there's no prescribed process. But through articles and journals and authors who are experts in the field, we do have some recognized strategies, and here it is. This is taken from the QSR International. QSR International is the organization responsible for NVivo. So it's a loop, and I'll let you read this again. I won't spend too much time on this until we really do some practical NVivo work. But basically, this is how it works. Let me just move this away. There you go. Perfect. Right, so this is basically how it works, and more details to follow on this. So when we do practice our NVivo, these are the steps we're gonna follow. Uh, Now, if you want to start practicing, or you don't need to, if you have NVivo on your laptop and you've never used it, so this might be new to you. If you don't have and you want to get it installed, like I've said, you know the procedure now. So this is the interface. Once you run NVivo Pro, this is the interface you're gonna get. The first two uh, links here are quite obvious. Sample project is a project given to you free by NVivo, by QSR International, and my advice to you is for the first time, you can always try the sample project. It's fun, it's very informative, and it will help you understand NVivo a little bit more. Then later we can start the blank project. So right now let's avoid this. I'm focused a little bit about this so that I can introduce NVivo to you. Then later next tutorial will be starting from scratch. By all means, click on these once you get your NVivo Pro. This is of kind of no use because we have to pay to get the training, and hopefully I'm trying to help you here by giving you some advice. This is a tutorial. You can download it. It's I think 50-page long, and basically that's where I get my ideas to run this workshop, this tutorial, and as well this one. So featured webinars, so you can listen to some of them. If you do not want to do that, fine. We can always start with the sample project and see how we get on. I've gone through this, so we will focus more on creating a copy of the sample project given to us by QSR International, responsible for NVivo. So there you go. Once you click on the sample project, the whole point is to learn, right? So this is what you're going to get. So this is the first interface you're going to get, and today's tutorial is just introducing the interface to you. One thing that probably I need to mention early is the variety of types of data that we have. So you have PDFs, you have videos, you have audio, you have Word, and so on. So this is the variety that you will get with NVivo Pro and NVivo Plus, but not with NVivo Starter, where you will only use PDF and textual data. So there you go. So we have um, 6 main panels or panes. Sorry, how do you call it? Panes, right? So the first one here, they are tabs. They might be familiar to you because you've used Microsoft Word. Some of them are different to Microsoft Word, but you get my idea. Excuse me. These are tabs. Then this section here would be the ribbon, and when we start using NVivo, we will use a lot of these things here. Number 3 is the upper navigation view. What it does here is that's where you're going to keep your data. So briefly, your interviews can be in this folder. Your literature, things that you've read, journals and articles and ebooks and so on could be here. Social media, whatever, some clips that you've downloaded from Facebook could be here. Surveys that you've done could be in this folder. So there's nothing standard here. It's up to the user to see how they want to differentiate these things. I am quite fussy. I like remember, this is not me. This is a sample given by NVivo. But personally, I would have folders, a lot of folders. I would have interviews, a folder for interview, a folder for focus group, a folder for literature review, a folder for survey, and a folder for journals and for ebooks and so on. Anyway, so that's where you keep your data. External could be newspapers and so on. Again, it's a bit too early to explain each and every single the roles of each and every single folder here, but we'll come to that. Number 4, the lower navigation view. That's for me is the main part of NVivo 11 Pro. I think I will explain in details in the next few slides, but this is where your analysis is done. That's the main point. If you can manage this section here, then you will be comfortable in the software. This is the list view. That's when you will import all your data. So basically what they are here, let's take Helen here. So Helen probably gave an interview, and it was recorded through audio recording. Here Betty and Paul, they were interviewed and they were recorded through video recording. Barbara, Charles, and Dorothy, probably their interviews were transcribed and then brought here as PDF file. So I don't know if you can see it, but the one that you can see here, that's Barbara's. So if you click on Barbara, then the the transcribe interview, Barbara's transcribe interview, as you can see, will come up here. So this is the detailed view for Barbara. Then if I click on Charles, I'm going to get Charles one here. Then there will be Charles file open and so on and so forth. Like I've said, I will come to all this maybe in the next tutorial when we do our practice. For practice purpose, personally, I might use Barbara, but then you will have to do some homework where maybe I will choose one of the other data, transcribe data, and I will ask you to do a few things. So that's for next time. There you go. So briefly now, each of the, sorry, let's come back to here. We have six main uh, panels, let's say here, and you will have to let me just go through each one and see how it what we can do. So the first one, like we said, it's tabs. It might seem familiar because looks familiar because you've done Microsoft Word, Excel, and they're similar. So what it does, the tabs along the top of the NVivo window give access to different operations and tools. So just like Excel, under home you'll have all this, then create, which obviously means create a few things. If I can show you maybe later, then you can analyze your data through here and have some queries about your data, explore, and so on and so forth. So excuse me. So when we start practicing, we will have to use the tabs here. The next one, the ribbon. Right, so there you go. It's like, again, similar to Microsoft Word. Under each tabs you have a set of ribbons, and we will use them a lot because that's where all the work is done. Then the next one, as mentioned before, is where you put, so that's the third one, which is the upper navigation view, where you're gonna put all your data and the folders and subfolders and so on. And this is based on your project. So this one is a project where interviews and audio recordings and video recordings were done on these peoples to collect their data. So that's where we're going to put them. I've mentioned this already. Then the lower navigation view, number 4, like I've said, that's where the work is done. That's where you're gonna start analyzing your data. So number 3 here is where you stack your data. Number 4 would be where you start analyzing your data. Number 4 is the lower navigation view. Number 5 is the list view. It just lists all your data. And sorry, in my interviews folder, this is the data collected through interviews. I'm not going to click on literature and so on and so forth. We'll just focus on one right now. So this would be the data collected through interviews, and I can see all of them. That's the list view, and everything that I've done through interviews would be here. Finally, the detail view. I mentioned it. This is the detail view for Barbara. Why Barbara? Because you might not see it, but that's because I've clicked on Barbara here. And I get Barbara. That's the detail view for Barbara. So that's yeah, very good. That's basically it. Hopefully, in the next tutorial, I would run a NVivo workshop or practice based on, let's say, Barbara, where I will tell you what we can do with the file, the interview, the transcribe interview from Barbara or anybody else. So thank you for listening. That's it for today, and please wait for the next tutorial. Thank you.